Life could be very challenging. There's no doubt about that. I mean, if you're an adult, even if you're a child, unfortunately, this is a fact. Life is challenging. Suffering, on the other hand, most of the time is unfortunately something that we create ourselves. We don't want to do it, but we unconsciously do it. And here's what I mean. Did it ever happen to you that you were facing a challenge, let's say a light challenge? You're taking a walk with a friend, and it's a long walk and it's a hot day, but you're enjoying yourself. You're laughing and you're talking about uh, things that are pleasant, and the weather is nice and all that. But it's hot, but it's still summertime, and it's been a long time you haven't seen your friend. So the walk could be challenging. It's a long walk, and you got thirsty at the end. Or even the conversation could be challenging because you were talking about some things that, to clear the way. But suffering doesn't have to be there. Suffering is not automatic. The challenge could be there, but suffering is not automatic. So usually suffering comes from our own experience in the moment, right? We could be experiencing suffering while just sitting down and doing nothing, and our neighbor could be very joyful sitting down, looking at the same street, looking at the same trees, but our neighbor could be feeling peaceful at least. So there's a lot of situations that you think about them where two people going through the same thing are experiencing it differently. So suffering is very subjective. But because a lot of things, a lot of people are suffering, then we actually think that it's a fact that every challenge has to bring suffering, but it's not the case. So where does suffering come from? Right? In my experience, suffering comes from resistance to what is. Right? So we have a tendency to avoid the present moment because we want it to be something else. And that gap between what the present moment is and what we want out of it, that's where there's friction. That's where we're fighting. And that fight is usually where the suffering is. Now, obviously, if you are in a very dangerous situation or you are physically suffering, that's a different question. But I'm talking about day to day living and challenges. So we kind of built the habit of fighting with the present moment. I don't like my job. I don't like the weather. I don't like how my friend answered the phone or what my friend told me at the end of our conversation. I don't like my life. I think I'm a failure. So all these things are not really happening on the outside. They're more interpretations of what is happening on the outside. And the source of the suffering is that we are fighting with facts. We're fighting with real things. We're fighting with the fact that, let's say, I don't have a job. I'm fighting with the fact that I haven't accomplished what I thought I would accomplish by this age, by 50, by 55, by 60, whatever the age is. Or I don't like the fact that I lost my loved one. Now, these things can be very hard to deal with, no doubt about that. And we need to look at them with a lot of compassion. And at the same time, if we want to be free of suffering, the way to go is to actually start being more and more aware of what is really the cause. And usually, the cause, from my observation and from reading a lot of spiritual teachers and people that talk about these things, is because the cause is that we are fighting what is. We are fighting facts. And a lot of times we are fighting things that we cannot change. That's interesting. We are fighting something that already happened, like the weather. Even though it didn't happen yet, it's something that we can't really change. So I was expecting to have a barbecue today. A lot of people are coming over, but it's raining. So I got frustrated, I got angry, and I could take it very personal, even though it has nothing to do with me personally. I could take it very personal. And it could actually add to my story that nothing ever works out for me, and these things always happen to me. I'm unlucky. So that's where suffering lies. And these events that are neutral, like the weather, could bring out a lot of stuff from the past. That's where it becomes even more intense. And usually suffering comes with a certain emotional charge. So something went wrong, something happened to me as a child, and this situation that is neutral is making me suffer because it reminds me of that emotional pain that I experienced as a child. So what do we do about that? First of all, we need learning to be compassionate. It's a big one, to be compassionate to ourselves. And a lot of us don't even know that is possible. Having compassion for ourselves, having love to ourselves. I know it sounds weird, but usually when these things occur, when we suffer on things that maybe are not very big, or we wonder why we're suffering, we wonder why we're stuck. Some of us get stuck for 10, 20 years not accepting something that happened. So these things are maybe unresolved things that are coming from the past. And it's very simple. We need to meet them with love. And if that's too abstract, what you could do is just put your right hand on your heart and let's say you lost a loved one recently. You could just be compassionate about it. Just put your hand on your heart and feel the points of contact between your hand and your shirt and the skin. Or if you're having a bad day, same thing. Because what is happening is that you don't feel safe when things don't go your way. Something is wrong. So what do I do? And that's when anxiety could come in and fear could come in. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a very natural reaction. But you could do something about it. Putting your hand on your heart is one way. And even having a conversation with that part of yourself that is suffering. Something like, I know this is hard. I know this is difficult. And you could even, if you noticed where it's coming from, you could talk to what we call the inner child, or just these memories that are still in us. You could just say, okay, well, I know where it's coming from. I know this was hard when I was a child. I went through this or that, and it was very challenging. But this is not the same thing, right? This present moment is not a repetition of the past. It's a new moment. It's a fresh moment. And it's okay that we get stuck in the past. Condemning ourselves is not going to help. So it's okay that I'm experiencing suffering today. Today is a difficult day. It's okay. It happens. So what you're doing is you're sending signals to your nervous system by putting your hand on your heart and by showing compassion to yourself. You're telling your nervous system, I get your message. You're telling me that I'm not safe because something is off. I lost a loved one. He was my protector. Or I have relationship issues with my son, my daughter. I don't feel good in my body. I'm hurting. You could meet your experience with love. And that's what a lot of us didn't get or didn't experience when we were younger. When we faced some challenges, we didn't have anybody that was able to welcome us and to give us love, or they tried but we didn't experience it. But to us it didn't exist, right? So putting your hand on your heart and just welcoming what you're feeling, the same way you would welcome a child. Let's say you just saw a child that you don't know is just crying. You meet him on the street and he's crying, or she's crying. How would you welcome that child? That is in your power. You could do that with yourself as well. You deserve it. You deserve to love yourself. You deserve to feel good about yourself. Hope this helps.